Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
Hello guys, welcome to our show. Today we discuss about lead magnets, how you can find leads, because today without leads it's hard to develop and innovate your business. I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Sky Cassidy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing this morning, Anatoly?
I'm doing great. Before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, and why you decided to share with us about leads.
So I'm the CEO of Mountaintop Data. We're a data company providing lists for sales and marketing, for B2B sales and marketing. I also host a podcast on B2B marketing and everything related. And so any opportunity to come on someone else's show, talk about this stuff. I mean, when you host your own show, it's just kind of proof that you love to talk. So I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to talk. But there's a lot of topics that I listen to and have guests on and talk on all the time. But lead magnets is one. We have a new product, and that's one that's really come to the forefront for me and throughout my career, coming back to recognizing it really doesn't matter what your product is, unless it's something new or you have a patent or the only this and that. And then that's still a lead. Like, you have to have a reason someone should interact with you. In networking, why would somebody, come and talk to you? Are you approachable? Is there a reason? What is the reason? In dating and everything in life, it's like, hey, if you're not going to attract anything without a magnet. So it's just this really critical part of companies where a lot of companies don't have it and they want to grow, and maybe they rely on referrals, which means you have a great product, but you don't actually have any marketing. You don't have any lead magnet, because you can't attract strangers with a referral. You have to rely and wait on the referral. But if you want to grow, you have to have something to differentiate yourself, an excuse for people to interact. And most people want to grow their business, but don't really realize how important this piece is and how they can make it happen if it isn't natural in their company.
Nice. Love it. Okay, let's talk about B2B marketing. I want to start from this one because you mentioned that it's your main focus. Can you tell what is the main difference between getting leads for B2B and B2C? What is the main difference between them?
Wow. So I don't specialize in B2C at all. So that's maybe a tough one for me, but I would say a lot of B2C is nice to haves. A lot of it is having gimmicks, you still need to have a lead magnet. You're selling candy bars. If they figured out, hey, you got to put it at the front of the aisle. What is the enticement? The enticement is an addiction to sugar, but like, what's going to get people to interact with your product? It becomes about placement. Where is it on the shelf and stuff like that? So B2B takes a lot from consumer marketing. It's such a greater scale. Consumer marketing really is kind of everything is spam almost. It's put it out to a massive audience, and then the interested people will interact. It's, every single person hears the radio commercial, sees the TV ad, that kind of thing. B2B gets much more targeted. It is just a smaller audience, although it's a massive market. There are more B2B companies than B2C. And it's counterintuitive. They're more consumers, but most of those people work in jobs, and the B2B companies are the huge part of the iceberg. Underneath just the tip is consumer, but every one of those products goes through a chain of manufacturers and suppliers and marketers and all these other industries that are all the B2B space. So a lot of overlap, but certain techniques don't work in B2B that work in consumer, and vice versa. But we usually marketing tactics trickle down from the consumer, and then once they're proven there, B2B will pick them up if they apply. And kind of a lazy way of answering your question. I think I dodged it pretty successfully, though.
Yeah. I think you replied to this question. Good reply. And can you tell, for example, if I'm going to create marketing message for B2B. In the end, I need to create the marketing message to decision makers who can transfer this data to the whole team, to the entire team. Because in the end, we communicate with people, human being, and they need to tell that our offer is valuable. This offer can help, to grow the company. I'm interested about setting the right message because you mentioned that you have experience with data, you can help to get this data. Can you tell how to consider data that we collect and create the right message for decision makers who can transfer data to the entire team?
Yeah. So when it comes to who you're targeting, one thing that always jumps to mind for me is people frequently get it wrong because they're thinking, in consumer marketing, you say this person's going to buy, I need to target them. And then it does branch out some into like, hey, the parent's going to buy the cereal, but let me target the kid because they'll get the parent to buy. You have to take that mindset to B2B marketing because in most cases, the person that is doing the buying that ends up being in your system as your point of contact when they're a client is not the person that starts the transaction. You have to find the child that is going to get the parent to buy the cereal in B2B very frequently. So people will look at their CRM, a great practice of looking at the CRM and saying, who are our best customers? Who should we be targeting? Well, who do we do business with now? What they frequently miss when they do that is this is where AI would get it wrong. They miss in the chain. Oh, that isn't who we started with. That wasn't our initial point of contact, especially when you're dealing with larger companies. You may be in touch with a very high level person once you're in the business, but you're never going to get in touch with them to start with. So people need to realize that they need to start much lower at the child level, and then that's going to work their way up to these to the proper contact throughout the kind of buying decision making cycle. So yeah, frequently people are saying, "Oh, we want the business owners in these large companies." You say, no. Maybe eventually you'll be doing business with the VP or the director or something like that, but you're starting with a manager or a sub manager, and that's your foot in the door. That's the person who's actually going to give a damn about your lead magnet, because you're giving them an Amazon gift card. Sorry, the CEO doesn't care about the $10 Amazon gift card, and your email's not even going to make it into his inbox. So that's an
Yeah.
important aspect of the targeting. And when we're getting into lead magnets of the magnet has to apply to the person you're targeting.
Yeah, you remind me about the strategy that tech companies use when they advertise some new product for kids, and kids wanna take it, but they have limited proposition. And when they go to the shop, they have no these products. Parents need to buy something else because kids will be not satisfied. But the shop can tell, we will get this product for a few weeks, a month. So parents need to pay twice, to buy products. The first time because they need to satisfy kids, and the second time when they will get this product. So yeah, interesting strategy. Sky, I have the question about data. Can you tell how to collect data? I see when companies use the average data from online studies, tools, uh, any other resources, but it doesn't mean that this data is related to specific products. Each business has unique selling proposition. Can you tell how to find the right data and and convert to content format?
Sure. So I've been in just about every position in my company since we founded it. I was a minor founding partner and then worked through. So I was involved in hiring, in the sales, in the marketing, doing sales, running sales, training sales, taking over marketing, and now running the company. And when it comes to getting the data, one of the questions that I I remember getting when I was doing a lot of sales from people is, why wouldn't I just why do I want to buy a list from you? Why not just go get it myself? Like I can go find these contacts online. And that's true for some people. And we advise some people to do that. We say, look, if you need Chinese restaurants in your 3-block radius, you don't need to go to a data company. That's pointless. they're going to have to charge you $100 a record for that information. You just need to go to the yellow pages or get on your bike and start, biking around. But it's kind of like saying, oh, why would I buy rice at the store? I'll just grow my own rice. Well, there's people who are experts at this. Yes, you can bake your own bread and you can do all these things. But when you're running a business, typically you want to specialize. And if you need to target a larger audience, the amount of time and energy it takes to go out and build out data for, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of target contacts for marketing campaigns, it'd be silly not to use a data company. And so that gets the next level of, okay, we should use a data company for this, but how? Well, there's a lot of data companies out there. We're kind of like the rice thing. We're a semi-commodity. Sure, some rice is better than others. Some's garbage. Some's great. There's different use cases for it. You got your sushi rice and you got your long grain rice and you got we'll get into a podcast about rice here now. But there's a lot of data companies, and I always just tell people, try some. Make ours one of them, but I actually recommend to people they have multiple providers. These companies should be experts in the space, and their people should be able to help you find the right contacts for your need. They should be able to talk to you and say, okay, yes, point out to you things like maybe you don't want the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. You're probably not, that's going to be a waste of your time. Be able to help you a little bit with your targeting. You need to know your audience some. They're not just going to learn your company and do it for you. You hire a marketing agency if you need that. But they should be able to help. There's a lot of online tools for people who can self-service it themselves. Like, why Google and then try to just find someone's email and look them up on LinkedIn and hit them there when you can go to one of these tools. We have one called Top Data Search. You can put in search criteria and see data and buy it in, sometimes small amounts. Sometimes it's $20 a month to access the data, whatever it is. So there's a lot of really convenient ways to access data now. And then it comes down to the quality. That becomes really important because you've got limited time. Put a bunch of junk data into your email delivery service and you're going to get it locked down. And for that, we always recommend just have several providers and test them. It's really easy. We should be able to give you a sample. That's also really easy. Like, you reach out to a couple data providers. We say 10 because when you reach out to 10, you'll probably get 3 that respond to you and 7 that don't even respond. And you say, okay, good. Or they'll respond wanting more information from you. What's your budget? Okay, forget about those guys. They're going to waste your time. They're busy qualifying you instead of giving you the information you want. Hey, can I get a sample of your data? Probably the first thing you should ask. Just give them any information. Give me a sample of IT contacts. If they come back and ask you for geography or something else, okay. But if they're like, what's your budget? What's this? No, they're just going to waste your time. Go with the ones that respond. And then you find a couple and you try their data, you make some calls, send a couple of emails, and you'll quickly see which information is good for you and which isn't, and who's actually going to communicate with you. And then hopefully, you find several providers that have good information, because data is not monogamous. It's like rice. It isn't like you have to, I got my long grain rice and that's all I can buy now. I'm locked in. If I try to get some sushi rice, oh my God, the long grain's never going to talk to me again. No, you're allowed to have multiple providers for this stuff. And it's a really good idea to have multiple providers, and it should be convenient and easy. So that's kind of the approach I typically recommend for people when finding data and dealing with data. You need 10 contacts in your neighborhood, go find them yourself online. Otherwise, you need volumes of data for marketing campaigns. Find multiple vendors. They should be easy to find, and they should easily communicate with you and give you what you need. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, love it. Interesting about that. By the way, I think it's a good result when you get a reply. If you send 10 messages and get 3 replies, that's good. No, that's good ratio. I usually send like 100 messages.
Oh, no. The messages I'm talking about are not marketing messages. You're reaching out to data companies saying, I want to buy your product. So 3 out of 10 is actually pretty bad. But
awesome.
The data industry, there's a lot of weird companies, and for some reason, they don't have their stuff together very well. So if you're getting 3 out of 10 response in marketing campaigns, then you shouldn't be listening to a podcast. You should be sending 10 more emails. Like, you're killing it. That will not last. So take advantage while it does. In fact, That was what we were seeing when we started our company. When we started our company, nobody had email addresses for B2B marketing. And we had developed a technique in the early 2000s where we realized that we could append emails to contacts that we'd found. And we were doing campaigns at an agency and said, oh, this is really valuable. Let's start doing this. People are going to want this. And so we created a small list of IT contacts and started selling it. And we were getting several responses per, if we did 10 direct outreaches, we'd probably get 3 responses, but we would just send out random, like 1,000 emails, and we'd get a purchase. Not just a response, but a purchase for every 1,000 sent out, which were great numbers. But our lead magnet was, we have something no one else does that you really want. So when you have that, it's really easy. But short of that, short of a new thing, you have to create a lead magnet. And the great thing is, you see a lot of companies that create them, like these very matured industries, and they will create a lead magnet somehow. They'll say, we're selling ketchup. What are we, like, just saying our ketchup's better? Like, how are we going to, nowadays they'd be like, we love you and we love puppies. And that's how they try to differentiate. But that's just branding. How are you going to, when you need people to directly respond to buy your product like they do in B2B, how are you going to get people? What's the lead magnet if you don't have a unique product? You make something unique. Ketchup makes a new type of top that isn't as messy, and you just find what's the biggest problem anybody has with their stuff, and until that matures and everybody has that, and then you're really a commodity. But you have to make something different. And we look at companies regularly. We have a new product where we help people run their cold email campaigns for them. But we need content to promote. And then we help with their sales cadence emails and run those for them. And that's where you need a lead magnet. And we recommend to people sometimes that they create a new product or a new service or a new something. And this is this weird area in marketing where you find sometimes maybe it's a software as a service, something like that. Marketing will request a certain feature on a product that isn't really necessary for the product, and the product people don't understand. Well, why do we don't need that. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And the marketing just says, shut up, trust us. We need something we can market. Everything else is just table stakes. Everybody else have it. We need something different. It doesn't matter if it's a breakthrough thing. It's just something different to make people look at us versus the competitor. And that's your lead magnet. What's the different? What's the differentiator? Or that's one type of lead magnet. Sometimes a lead magnet is just like, hey, take a call with me and we'll give you a $10 Amazon card. But you can come up with tons of different lead magnets, but why are they going to talk to you? And a strong differentiator is frequently it, especially if it's something that you can show or that they have to come and interact with. Many companies will create a product whose sole purpose is to attract people. It's a lost leader product kind of. They're like, oh, we don't actually plan on selling this. We don't care if we sell this, but this is different and new, and we can almost give it away to get people in the door. It's a Costco hot dog and a soda. Why are you keeping that so cheap? What does that have to do with anything? Like, oh, that's their lead magnet. Hey, remember to come. Even for people who already signed up for Costco and they're like, come in because you have a hankering for this hot dog and a soda and it costs almost nothing. So that's just all different forms of lead magnets, which are really critical. People want to set up campaigns and just say, hey, we provide XYZ generic service. You have no idea who we are. And again, this is a super generic service, but let's get on a sales phone call with us. And you're receiving that message, you're like, really? Why? Like, why don't you come to my Halloween party and pitch me on life insurance, for God's sakes? Like, why? You got to have a lead magnet.
Yeah, my spam inbox loves all these messages. I lead them to this place. And because I get every single day a lot of propositions, guest posting, many other stuff, something that I don't understand at all, something is 100% irrelevant with all my business goals. Many people, sales people, don't spend time, to learn recipients, to understand what they need. So yeah, that's why we still get all these messages. But I think it works. I think it works if they send these messages, but they can't get big fish. No, they can get like small fish, beginners, but people who have who can charge good money. So I think yeah, it's possible.
Well, there is a type of marketing. There's a type of product where you hit full commodity level, or maybe you just have no good ideas right now for a lead magnet. And there's a type of marketing that just says, look, there's no differentiator for our product. So we're going to do something nice or whatever. Or we're going to just be in front of our audience all the time. It's a soap opera. We're going to say, we're selling soap. There's nothing cool or different or new, or there's no reason anybody's going to buy us except for they saw us and we're there in front of them every day. So you find out where they are and you're there. And in email marketing, that strategy is just, hey, do you need this service? Because you know they're going to use it. You know they're going to use soap. You've got a soap product, right? There's no differentiator, but you got nothing creative, no great ideas or anything like that on it. Lead magnets. You haven't invented the Tide Pod yet to blow people's minds and whatnot. So you say, we're just going to be in front of them all the time because we know they buy this and we want to be considered when they do. And that's the whole strategy. That's just kind of a brute force erosion strategy. Now it works and it's a good strategy to have in place if you can't come up with a good lead magnet. But if you have a good lead magnet, then maybe you have a slow erosion campaign running. So you just have this general malaise of brand going on all the time. But if you have a lead magnet, that's what you really want to be pushing. Obviously, is something that actually attracts people to you. So nothing wrong necessarily with that approach. Just be in front of them all the time. It's an approach we use. Our product is seen as a life insurance-esque commodity product. People always buy it, need it eventually. We just need them to know we exist. So be there. But anytime you can create a lead magnet of any type, real or fake, that's a good thing for your marketing.
Yeah, nice. We have the question: what is the best way to market a brand new product or agency?
Find a lead magnet, differentiator. I mean, differentiator, lead magnet, whatever you want to call it, but you need to get attention out there. So you have to have one lead magnet is typically going to be niche. If it's a brand new product, and you created it in a commodity space, then rethink your product. Like when you create a brand new product, the whole reason hopefully you have it is that there's something different. There's a problem it solves that other products don't. And so then it's just focus on that. Find the right audience that might have that problem. Focus on that. Like I see you there and you have a headset on and I have a headset on. And I remember when I first took over the sales team at our company, we were growing, hiring a lot of salespeople. And one of the problems we had was the headsets all sucked. We're doing a podcast, so we have professional mics and it's just the headset. But when you need a headset that has the microphone and it's a room of people and they need to be able to hear the person they're talking to and they need that person to hear them, suddenly that headset becomes important. And our reps were having problems with their headsets. And it was like, of all the problems to have in your sales, once you've already got the leads in and the people can't hear you and you can't hear them, like this is a ridiculous issue to be slowing a company down. And so suddenly as a sales manager, part of my focus became fixing the headset problem. And I was looking for headsets that would work. And I needed a couple things. One, affordable, had to fit in our budget. And then it just had to work, right? And so I'm going around buying all these different headsets from online. If I received an email from someone about headsets, I'm looking at it. Not like, oh, I don't know these people, this is junk mail, because I need that product. And if I receive one about headsets that says the best headsets I could find in an affordable range, so we're not paying a couple $100 per headset, but the best headsets I could find had a problem where they kept breaking up top here, where they adjust. The plastic would eventually break. The reps would pull them off their head like this, and it would stretch that plastic, and it would break in the most greatest stress point there. And so I was taping paper clips to them like a Boy Scout splint in the woods or something to keep them functional, and just thinking, I got to find a headset that doesn't break here. Like, so you're looking for these little details. And I bring all this up to say, look, if somebody had a headset that were like, hey, this is a problem that headsets have, they break here, so we designed ours instead of having this area is metal and not plastic in ours. Like, that's a big problem with headsets. It doesn't matter if the mic and the speakers and everything else work. If the thing breaks here, and so you just can't put it on your head anymore. So as somebody that was running a growing team, it was like, hey, if somebody solves that problem and they have a new product they put out and they focus on just that one thing in an email, and maybe you have 10 differentiators. Well, hit
Yeah.
one, and each message you put out, hit the one, hit the one, hit the one, hit the one, so that the person experiencing that pain point is going to come to your product. Now you have a new product. Great. What's the problem it solves? Focus on one of those problems in each message. And I'd say that's a great way to get some traction on a new product.
Yeah, I agree. Simplicity is key. Recipients, customers have no time to figure out all features that you have. That's why I love, I love learning from big brands. For example, Apple, Tim Cook, when he presented new Apple Watch, after that I bought 3 pairs because I can't buy one. I need 2 for my son, for my wife.
Well, you've got 3 arms. You need 3 watches. Makes sense.
Yeah. But it's interesting that right now my Apple Watch, the Atlantic Ocean owns my Apple Watch right now, so I have know that. But it's interesting that after watching this presentation, I like how Apple, Tim Cook, shared these stories. Not features, not anything else. Probably other watches have the same features, but he shared 3 stories how Apple Watch can simplify my life, decide my problems by sharing examples. After that, I got the feeling to own Apple Watch. I got it. I need it because I wanna get much simple life. I wanna decide all my problems with this Apple Watch, this gadget. So yeah, that was not hard to consume. No, simple message, storytelling style. But when I get email with a lot of bullet points, we are great with that, guys. I have a few seconds to lead this message to my spam inbox. That's it. Just.
That's a great point. And I think what a lot of people don't realize when they're creating emails, they think they're Tim Cook giving a presentation. It's a different medium and it requires a different approach. Tim Cook has 2 advantages there. One, kind of a captive audience. When you start watching that presentation, you're watching it. You're not flipping through it most likely or something like that. When you do a TV commercial, they're probably not going to change channels in the middle of the commercial because you're not impressing them. You put that commercial on a show they like for a reason. They're sticking around for it to come back. So
Yeah.
that's I'm sure they sell commercials for a lot more in the middle of shows than before and after shows, or particularly after shows, because people change in between shows, but not during a show. So they're going to watch those middle of show commercials much more. But so he has kind of a captive audience and he knows it. So he can put more content into the pitch. So he's, like you're saying, he's making 3 points. Here's 3 reasons to buy this watch instead of just one, because he doesn't have to now he only needed one. He just doesn't know which one of the 3 might, as long as when you have more time and a captive audience, great. We say initial email, you make 1 point. Maybe on follow-ups, you can make more points because now you've got them pulled in. They're a little more interested. They're not so quick to throw your email away. So he's got you captive a bit there. And it's also a huge known brand. And people say, hey, I want to be like Apple, so I'm going to do what they do. So no, you can't do that because you're not Apple. Different rules apply when you already have the brand because you're a known entity. So you're willing to listen to Tim. Some random homeless guy on the street starts giving Tim Cook's presentation. You're not going to pay attention because you don't know that guy and his brand. Like he's selling apples on the street corner. That's not something you're sticking around for. So the rules are a little different when you have a captive audience and when you have a brand built up that kind of creates some trust in captive audience already. When you're looking at a cold email, a new product, 1 point, quick and easy, quick call to action. I see emails, and my number one advice to people on emails always is don't have a large block of text. You better not have a paragraph that's more than 3 lines, and the 3rd line shouldn't even be full. It should be like 2 sentences. And then if you want to put a large block of text for some reason, it needs to be below the fold where they have to scroll to see it. So you're going to have like 2 sentences, a bullet point or 2 or something, a small graphic. Do not put the graphic at the very top. And then you can put more below because you've already hooked them in. A style I see a lot of people using now, and I think it's effective. It annoyed me at first, and then I realized it is effective. They would put like one line that was short and then double space and then another line. Hey, wanted to reach out. Boom, double space, another line. See how you're doing today. This is just how I do things. And then another line. And I was like, what the hell? And I realized they're doing a stop sign strategy where the message is so short, you can't not read it.
Yeah.
I say, okay, but they're also breaking it up because it allows your brain to fix on that short couple word line before you can say, no, don't read it. It's too late. You've already recognized the words and absorbed them. And now you're looking at the next line, which is also these little tapas bites of marketing. And you're like, damn it. And well, now I'm 3 lines in. I'm kind of committed. I want to see what he says next, but I got to scroll down to see it. And once you scroll, you're hooked. You're like, oh, I've committed to this email. Now I need to see the next couple lines. And it's like, okay. And it drags you down through the email. So I always say, keep the text really short and to the point and interesting at the top. And if you need to do a lot more, it's got to be once they start scrolling. Or I see a cold email and a big block of text, and I'm like, I'm not stopping to try to read that. That's sorry,
Yeah.
too much of a commitment for me. I'm moving on. So
Yeah, got it. Valuable. Okay, I have the question about intuition. We discussed about data, but I found sometimes nobody knows what exactly works. And I spoke with some data companies, and many of them told me it's not good when you have over data, a lot of data. And once I read a guide about Jeff Bezos, and he told on his meeting when he got a lot of data about new product, and the research team told him we need more data, we need to spend more time with that, and he replied to them, no way, nobody knows what works. Let's do it, let's try it, let's test it. So it's like intuition, can you tell? And it's interesting that only 40% of all recommendations or data points companies use, most of them ignore. Can you tell how to find the balance between intuition and enough data when creating strategy?
yeah, I'm sure there's people who specialize just in this, but one point of clarification, use the word data a lot. My company's a data company, but we're a list company. So we provide direct contact information, names, phone numbers, emails for direct sales and marketing. Data, I've always said, is a pronoun. Data it covers so many things that when people are in a marketing meeting, they're talking about data, they typically know what data they're talking about. But even if you're in the same team and you walk in the room, you're not going to know, are we talking about our list provider? Or are we talking about like website traffic numbers? Or are we talking about, because they're all types of data. It's like saying things or something like that. You don't know what things. So it's important. I just want to clarify for people, my company is a data company, but we're a list company. The type of data you're talking about, I think, is information that decisions are made on. And that is, decision making based on data. It got really hot for a while, but the downside is then you're diminishing the instinct, the knowledge of a person who doesn't know, doesn't have you don't have in your head an Excel spreadsheet for why you're making the decision. It's not right to call it going with your gut, but you're going with your collective wisdom. And that is really important because humans have an awesome ability to, without even knowing, again, crunching all the numbers and knowing exactly why they feel that way, but you calibrate yourself over time. And that calibration of decision making is called wisdom. And that wisdom allows you to quickly make good decisions and act on them. Because if you can't quickly make good decisions, and I think a lot of leaders, what makes them great is the ability to quickly make good decisions more often than not. You're not always going to get it right, but it doesn't matter. You have to get it. You have to do something, or you're just sitting around philosophizing. Like it's like us being on the podcast 24/7 for the rest of our lives, but never going and doing anything. So great. You talked a lot, but you got to actually execute on these things. Sometimes you have to actually do them. So I would rather have no data and go off of a mild intelligence gut decision than try to consume every possible data point before making a decision. So yeah, over analysis, paralysis by analysis is the old thing of saying it, but it's just, leaders are just going to lead and get it wrong sometimes and say, hey, we got it wrong. But you also have a strategy in place where getting it wrong is part of the process. Marketing is testing. It's science. You're going out, you have to do the experiment. You have a hypothesis, you form it quickly, and then you do a quick experiment. You want to know if a new lead magnet is going to work for your company. So you think you need a ton of data. Well, how are you going to get that data? Go out and do it. You go ask people. You run the campaign that you haven't even built the product or feature for. You run a very inexpensive email campaign or ad placement campaign on a social media site to see if it gets response. And then you find out, oh, we added this widget and we thought that might bring people in. So we spent $200 on ads on it and we sent out 2 email campaigns promoting this new function. And we didn't get any positive feedback. We didn't get any traction. So maybe that's not it. Okay, come up with 5 different lead magnets and test them all now. And you'll save so much money by spending money to test these and actually finding out quickly so you can move forward versus saying, hey, before we act on this at all, we have to get a whole bunch of data on something that doesn't really exist. And then we're going to build it out. It's like, no, don't even build it out. Just go test it. You want to sell a t-shirt, don't make the t-shirt, go sell it. And once somebody buys it, then you can make it. And if nobody buys it, you didn't waste the time making it. So it's kind of a combination of a handful of philosophies there, but I do believe very much in the act, and then you get data from that. Here's your data. We did something fast and inexpensive, and now we get to take that data and decide if we want to do something different.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that because, I remember someone asked me if I listen all your episodes, can I become a good marketer? I replied, no, you can't. You really can't, because it's not about how you can learn or listen. If I read 100 books how to play soccer, I never beat Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi.
Even if you practice, you won't beat him, but you could.
I don't know. But yeah, of course, it's really, really hard. And yeah, I just want to tell that Cristiano Ronaldo prefers to hit a ball 1,000 times a day than read 100 books. It's more about practice. And yeah, you need to practice. And sometimes when you do something, fail, that's a part of the process. You can fail a lot, but you can get a lot more data by failing. When you fail, you understand, oh, it doesn't work for me, I can find something else, I can change approach, I can learn from my mistakes, I can adapt to these challenges and go ahead. So the best data is failing. Failing only brings a new experience, nothing else.
Absolutely. And marketing is such a fluid area. Things are changing and there's so many variables that you definitely want to learn from other people's experiences and learn other people's insights. You can save yourself a lot of time and energy. When I was first took over the sales team, when I first took over the company after the sales team headset issue, when I first became CEO, I was again looking at what's the strategy for us to grow. And I came up with 2 things. Well, one, either we're going to build out a whole new sales team. We have an existing one. We're going to build on that. We're going to get a new manager and build a whole separate entity, and we're going to start these sales cells up. Or I came up with this concept for what I call the farm league. I was like, what if instead of trying to make really good sales training, we had like apprentices almost, and our salespeople, instead of making cold calls, we had people that did that for them and then handed it off to them and worked with them and fed them. And those people were learning to be good salespeople, and then the good ones would eventually get promoted. And I was like, I really like this concept. Eventually, we were like, well, that takes a while to pan out, and we want results quicker. So let's build out a sales team first, and then we'll come back to that. What I learned later when I read a book about it was the concept I was developing was SDRs. Someone else had already done a much better job than the version that I came up with. And if I had read that book, I would have saved myself a lot of time and money and made the right decision and went with SDRs and done it right instead of the slightly off version I was thinking of. So there is a vast benefit in, I mean, hopefully people are still listening. They didn't disconnect when you said, go do things, but there's massive benefit in learning from other people's mistakes and the experiments they ran, data they collected, and decisions they made. But when Aaron Ross, I think it was, came up with the SDR concept, I think he was at Salesforce at the time. It's been a while, but that was a new concept-ish to apply in that way. The world was a different place. It was for a specific product. It doesn't work for some products. So every industry has its own things that work and don't work for certain reasons, its own unique situations, its own target audience, its own geography, your own product with its own little foibles. So there's so many variables that it's great to learn, but so, read, listen to podcasts, all that kind of stuff, absorb things, go to school. But the apprenticeship of actually working in marketing is the greatest marketing learning experience, particularly in a specific industry, because they're so specific. The techniques that work here and there, everything's changing, coming in, being an expert in email marketing in 2007 is very different than nowadays. It's a completely different landscape. Things that worked 2 months ago will get you blacklisted now. Laws change. Like, there's just such a great variety in what works and what doesn't, and all these nuances that, the experimenting within your own specific company, even, not just industry, is really, really important. Everything is its own snowflake and slightly different. So learn from other people, take their wisdom. Absolutely. Listen to podcasts. Oh, you can read books on marketing, maybe even get a degree in marketing. Most marketers don't have one. But the experimenting, once you kind of know some of the basics, then you have ongoing learning. Podcasts are great for that, obviously, but your own experimenting based on the knowledge that you've built up is the most valuable.
I'm not against about podcast or learning, but I'm against to overlearn. When you spend a lot of time by learning, for example, if I read a lot of stuff and do nothing, I can forget about these insights for a few hours. I don't need a lot of time, to forget about something that I didn't do. So I think it's better to find the balance between learning and acting. So if you have this balance, I think Pareto principle is good. When
you can read all the books on diet you want. They're not going to lose you weight. You got to go out and apply them at some point. So great, get some new strategies, and people are going to say opposite things sometimes and stuff, but you got to go for a jog eventually, man.
You need to work hard, to train, to eat healthy food, to rest, many other stuff. But books can lead you in the right direction. I love reading books. I love learning. I love to listen audio podcasts. But I get insights what I need to do. It's like the door that I need to open. 100%.
I think I'm going to draw a cartoon now. Somebody being like, I just read 500 books in a row on dieting and I still have a fat ass. What's wrong? It's like, well, you haven't got off your couch in 6 months because you've been reading books. So
got it. Sky, it's a big pleasure to get on my show, to learn from you. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
So LinkedIn's a great place to find me. That's kind of the only social media you'll find me on. I might have a Twitter account. I don't remember. I've never tweeted. Facebook, I check once or twice a year, but I use it for friends and family like it's supposed to be. I'm very B2B, so I live on LinkedIn. Find me there. I'm receptive to anyone who wants to reach out, has questions about data, wants to check out our podcast, the If You Market podcast. If you do reach out to me on LinkedIn, say something. Don't just say, hey, I'd like to connect, because then you're a bot and the next message is going to be, here's our product. Do you want to buy it or set up I don't want that. Like, don't don't do that. There's no lead magnet in that. Like, come to me with some value, or at least some like, hey, I heard you on the show and I thought we can be random connections for no reason, but say something. Say something
Yeah.
about why should we actually connect. You can only interact with so many people in the world. If we should connect because you want to sell me something, you got to tell me what your product is and what the value is. If you have a headset that doesn't, break at the stress point, then just tell me. And if I'm interested, I'll buy it. But you're coming at me with the generic message because I'm going to hate your product. That just tells me I'm going to hate your product and I'm not going to get to the next step. So yeah, if you're going to pitch somebody, just pitch them. Don't make them jump through 5 hoops to get pitched first. That's really annoying. That's my, I know it was about, hey, how do we connect with you? But I'm warning people, like, please don't come to me with this terrible sales and marketing process. Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn is the best place. People are interested in List, seeing what we do as a company. Check out mountaintopdata.com or Top Data Search is our online platform. You can see what we do there. All things List, new contacts, data pending, data cleaning, that kind of stuff for B2B marketing.
Nice, guys. You can find all these links to podcast, to LinkedIn profile, to website in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again, Sky, for your time. A big pleasure. Valuable insights. I love it. Welcome back anytime if you wanna share more valuable insights, because my audience loves value. Guys, you need to follow Sky. You see a lot of value. Okay, guys. Love you. See you.
Excellent. Thank you, Anatoly. Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава!